And speaking of Ratchet and Clank and fan sites, we want to turn now to Brian's Ratchet and Clank Future update. So what's going on in your world?
Well, we're, of course, working towards our next focus test. We've kind of set our coordinates, and we're heading towards it. And James is laughing right now because that is...
Well, it's true. I mean, we are.
Yes.
But we say it every week.
We say it
so
every week.
That's
I know.
why I find,
I know.
I
Some
find
people
it
are like, yeah.
Well, why...
that's why I think it's funny about it.
Why are our milestones so focus test driven? Why is it so important? Just so everybody out listening understands, like, we might be repeating this, but in context, it's extremely important.
Well, there's a lot of different pieces that need to come together, and oftentimes when they do come together, you find a lot of issues. And so a focus test serves as kind of a driving deadline for everybody to get their stuff in the game, to get it working with all the other pieces. And then, of course, that's where we really get to see fans or players' reactions to it, and then we can tune the game based off of that. And so really it's like anything. I mean, human nature is, unless you've got a deadline, unless you've got that term paper, you're probably not going to get it done. So it just really serves as that focused goal, no pun intended, for people to get their stuff done. So given that, we've been putting in some real cut scenes lately. So on the first focus test, we had animatics, and these were like rough MPEGs. It had storyboards, had some audio recorded, but it wasn't the final scenes. And so we got some of our movie scene technology working. And what that means is we've got real-time scenes, which are driven by the engine, and that's stuff that actually occurs using the actual game level and the game engine assets. But then we also have MPEGs working too, which is full motion video that's run off of the disc. So it's a movie, like an MPEG that's played. So that's really been good to see that stuff coming together, and you get to see a lot of the polish, which you guys have seen last week, which is really cool. The other thing, too, that we've been getting working is localized audio. So Ratchet and Clank is going to be featured in many different countries, many different languages, and we have a system where all of our audio, being like help messages, dialogue that's in the scenes, dialogue that occurs while you're playing the game, will be automatically changed to the appropriate language based off of the setting the player picks. So there's a lot of stuff that we have to get working for that to work, and so we've got that functionality. So those are some of the big things that we've been getting in. And then, of course, you guys attended the review sessions last week again. And you're seeing things come together.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's one of the things we were talking about was all the difficult decisions that you have to make in juggling all the different departmental needs. So I think that's what's interesting to both of us is all the different hats you have to wear, even though you may not be an animator by trade, but you have to understand elements of blocking and pacing and camera angles, and you have to be like essentially a movie director in that aspect. Then you go to the environment group, and you've got to look, you have to take on more of a design eye, which obviously is your bread and butter. Then you go to the character group, and you're looking at all these character designs, and you have to think about it not only from a design standpoint, but how are they going to interact in the environment.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one little dilemma that came up about a week ago was we had a line that Clank had said, and there was a cut in the middle of that line. And so TJ had mentioned that he felt that we were taking emphasis away from the line, but then it actually worked for the animation department for what they wanted to do in terms of how the shots were set up. And so those are some of the things that kind of come up, and we weren't quite sure which way we should go. Should we show the entire line being said by Clank, or should we put that cut in? And I had thought during that review, okay, great, I have to make a decision here, and I don't know if anyone, someone's going to be unhappy depending on the decision that's made. But actually the animation department solved it for me, and they put in a really funny little mannerism that Clank did, which actually sold the whole line, made it really funny. At some point we'll probably tell you what that line is. But that then in the end everyone was actually happy because it worked really well. And so those are some of the dilemmas that we face where one department might see it one way, another department might see it another way, and then it's finding that resolution that works for everybody.
So you were talking a little bit earlier about the little movies you like to make in your backyard. Is doing kind of like reviewing the cinematics and stuff, and what kind of is that process fun for you because it's some of the same concepts, I guess?
Yeah, I did a lot of studying of film. I majored in video, which was the closest thing they had to film at the college I went to, and I really studied a lot of shot by shots, a classic like cinematography book, where they explain how you go from one shot to another, how you set stuff up. But there's of course a lot of experts in the animation team that have a lot of that knowledge. So I do use some of those skills, but I rely a lot on their sensibilities.
Well, the one other thing I saw in the walkthrough that really was just like impressive, I guess, space combat. It looked great before. I thought it looked great when we showed it to EGM. And I thought it looked really good then, and they thought it looked really good. And now it looks even better than that, and I was just absolutely blown away.
Yeah, it's stunning. Craig Goodman, our lead, one of our lead environment artists, put that together. He's been working on Space Combat for several months now. And he had worked on past Ratchet games on the Space Combat stuff for the second Ratchet and Clank. And he did some pretty impressive stuff then, but now with next gen technology, he's put a whole new level of detail and just all of the effects and all of the layered materials that you can do is really impressive. And there's that one shot where you're heading towards this small moon. That's not a moon. Sorry.
It's a space station.
That's right. And the level of detail that is on that moon as you approach it, and you can see all of the different cracks and fractures. It's incredible. It's hard to describe.
Well, I think it's yet another example of what next gen really means. It's not necessarily these earth-shattering breakthroughs. It's the subtlety and being able to define details in an environment. It's more fluid movement in animated characters. So, would you agree that that's more what next gen is?
Yeah, I mean it's a combination of things, but I don't think you can just give a few bullet points or say we're combining genre X with genre Y, and that's now next gen. It's really the entire package that you're putting together, which takes kind of a combination of a lot of different things. And as we're seeing, games are becoming more cinematic. They've got that visual spectacle, and then there's also different levels of interactivity and different things you can do. But it's really all of those, hundreds of thousands of pieces put together that give you that experience.
Yeah, very cool. I think our fans out there are going to be psyched when they finally get to see some space combat at some point in the future. So
the only other update I would add, based on our walkthrough, is that I was really impressed with the diversity of the levels in terms of color palette. So I'm excited to see that the vibrant nature of the Ratchet and Clank worlds is really coming back in Ratchet and Clank Future. So I think for people who really were fans of the classics, you'll definitely be excited to know that there's a wide range of environments as well as sort of times of day, states of weather, and the level of activity that will be seen just to kind of bring each environment alive is really kind of what struck me this week.
Yeah, you really get the sense that you're traveling through a galaxy and that you're going to many different planets, many different locales, and they feel very different and diverse.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Well, thanks for the update, Brian.